meet, I listen to your heartbeat. I can hear the rhythm and the tone. Every time I listen to my heart, it's like a cartwheel in my head, but my legs are made of lead. When we speak, I find it hard to think straight, especially when there's no one else around. Accent. When we touch, it's impossible to concentrate. Bright lights everywhere, like I'm floating in the air. Your heartbeat song is good, but it's not the one I could sing it out of tune. But I still want to sing with you. Your heartbeat song is good, but it's not the one. I sing it out of tune. But I still want to sing with you. But I still want to sing with you.
Hello, I'm Jordan North. I graduated from the University of Sunderland and I am now currently a BBC Radio 1 DJ. My time at Sunderland, I learned a lot, and I do always say I owe everybody at Sunderland a lot.
When we meet, I listen to your heartbeat. I can hear the rhythm and the tone. Every time I listen to my heart, it's like a cartwheel in my head, but my legs are made of lead. When we speak, I find it hard to think straight, especially when there's no one else around. When we touch, it's impossible to concentrate. Bright lights everywhere, like I'm floating in the air. Your heartbeat song is good, but it's not the one. Sing it out of tune, but I still want to sing with you. Still want to sing with you. Still want to sing with you. I still want to sing with you.
I've loved every minute of it.
The main reason for choosing the University of Sunderland MBA is career enhancement. You will gain key knowledge and insights to support progress in management and career moves within functions and to other sectors.
People look at you and they know that you've studied how to be a manager. You can use all the key words and contexts, and you can reference different case studies and businesses where different ideas have worked.
So where does innovation come from? It's all about spaces. Spaces to be creative and innovative.
Our new MBA offers a broad base of business subjects, including modules specifically designed to develop your ability to work cross-functionally, understanding the collaborative nature of organisational decision-making. You can customise your MBA programme to meet your employment aspirations with function or sector specialised MBA routes, including our latest edition, MBA Cybersecurity.
So one of the benefits of having my own startup website business is that I started around 6 years ago, and having started the course last year in October, I've seen already a lot of improvements which I've been able to add on due to the lessons and the practical experience that I've had. And looking back on my employment now, there's so much more I could have done with those skills that I can implement going forward.
Students on the generic MBA choose from a variety of options to support core learning, including the opportunity to engage in research or consultancy projects with local businesses. Alongside our career-based options, we offer an enterprise and innovation route, giving you the support you need to start your own business.
The taught experience is a combination of classroom-based learning and experiential learning.
I attended also Nissan session. It was about the employability, how they run the interviews, and it was very useful for me.
It's these extracurricular opportunities, the experiences that they have to successfully engage with these experiences will demonstrate qualities that you possess that are valuable to employers.
That leadership is built on two key aspects: the state of mind and the development of a set of core knowledge which requires them to integrate theory and practice.
It involves being able to think critically and lead with informed decisions in a very dynamic and competitive environment.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another series or another episode of SGC webinar series. My name is CY, and I will be your host tonight. So before I go on any further, if you're watching this, I would just like to do a very quick tech check with you. So if you could hear and if you could see us clearly, please type yes in the comment section below. So we're going live on both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So please comment below if you could hear me and if you could see me clearly. So let's wait for the comments to come in. If you could hear me and if you could see me clearly, please type yes in the comments section below. And we will begin very shortly. Okay, I'm beginning to see some yeses coming in. So tonight we'll be talking about why 2020 is the best year to study your MBA, and we have the privilege of inviting Dr. Derek Watson from the University of Sunderland tonight. But before we go on any further, for those of you who are watching from YouTube and on Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, there should be a share button below this feed somewhere on your phone, on your laptop. I would like to encourage you to click on that share button and start a watch party if you're watching this from Facebook, so that we can reach out to more people and then you can share this information with your friends. And if you are watching this from YouTube, you could also click on share, copy the URL and send it to that friend of yours who have been putting off their MBA study plan for a very long time. So this webinar is for those of you who are out there contemplating whether or not 2020 is the best year to start your MBA program. And I'd like to introduce to you our speaker tonight, Dr. Derek Watson. Dr. Derek is an associate professor in cultural management from the University of Sunderland, and he's also the founder of the university's business clinic. So at this point of time, I'd like to bring out Dr. Derek. Hello, Dr. Derek.
Good afternoon, or should I say good evening to my friends in Malaysia, Segi.
It's good evening for us who are connecting from Malaysia, and good evening to those of you who are connecting from the UK.
Yes. I'm very pleased to be sharing my experience with the students. I'm based at the University of Sunderland, Faculty of Business and Law, and I've got quite a number of years of teaching experience. My main role at the moment is looking after businesses with regard to university support. And what we do, we include our MBA students to gain exposure in that business support. I also look after PhD students, making sure that they complete on time. But I must say, I have also rich experience working in Malaysia within the 5 SEGI centres. I am the university centre leader for SEGI, and I very much enjoy my trips out there, working with students and the faculty teams. And I can't wait for my next visit, hopefully in the early part of 2021. So, yes.
We look forward to welcoming you again to the campus, Dr. Derek.
Yes, sure.
So, over to you.
Okay. So I'm going to spend some time talking about 2 key areas. You've just watched a video from the University of Sunderland, and it ended with a statement, make your moment. So hopefully, by the end of today's session, you will contemplate on enrolling on the SEGI MBA, which is delivered via the University of Sunderland. So you get a UK MBA, but studying in Malaysia. So why is 2020 the best year to study for an MBA? Well, the key issue is, have you ever sat back, and hopefully you have done, and thought about your plans? So this is where I feed in my one and only joke. How do you make your God laugh? By telling him or her your plans. I think we can all think about the best plans we've made in the future, and they haven't actually materialized. However, now is an ideal opportunity for potential students, people working part-time or full-time, to think about where they would like their life or career path to take them within that. And to identify with an issue of one of my MBA students in SEGI actually said, in life, you either go forwards or backwards. You rarely stand still. So the question is, if you want to go ahead, if you want to move ahead, you've got to think about key variables. One variable is, see right, the next slide. We have a limited amount of time. We can't discount time, but we can manage it. And what we've got to think about is, CJ, do you just want to pull it back to the previous slide and I'll tell you when to change? What we've got to think about is time goes past quite quickly. I have an 8-year-old son. His birthday is in December, and he thinks a year takes way long by the time it gets to his birthday. A sign of getting older is that time passes us very quickly. So my point, one of many points I want to make to you today is, think about your future. Think about how quick time passes you by. And if there's ever a time to think about progressing your qualifications, the time is right today, and I'll explain. Next slide, CY. Everything has a shelf life. You go to the supermarket, food has a shelf life. Music, latest popular songs have a shelf life, or movies. The same can be applied to your qualification. So if you've just completed your undergraduate degree, it is very much within its shelf life. But within 12 months, that shelf life starts to work backwards. So we need to think about how we can enhance our profiles and keep us more competitive, or keep us in the employment game. Next slide, CY. Education is a clear vehicle for career progression. It's not just a paper qualification. And this is one of the areas that we pride ourselves at SEGI and at the university. Yes, it's nice to get the qualification, the certificate, but more importantly, it's about developing key skills. And one of the advantages of doing our MBA program, it develops the competence or the ability of being able to stand in someone else's shoes. You may not necessarily agree with them, but you can understand where they're coming from. What is their motivation? What is their rationale? And that is one of the key drivers that we pride ourselves at SEGI and the University of Sunderland. Yes, it's important that we get students through, but what we've got to remember is those students need to hit the ground running for employment opportunities. And to do this, they need the necessary knowledge, skills, and abilities. Next slide. Yes, COVID-19, the dilemma. Many of you will have thought, should I defer a year or take a year out? And if we followed the tabloids and the news stations, the clear message at the beginning of the new year, February, March period, a lot of stories were coming across TV channels and newspapers saying that there's going to be mass deferrals from students. Students are not going to embark on their qualifications. They're going to take a year out until they get over COVID. That was quickly disproved. There are more and more students realizing that this is an ideal opportunity to bodybuild, as in qualifications, enhancement of subject knowledge, by embarking on an MBA. Next slide. So just like going back to my example before, try or taste before you buy, try before you buy. What I encourage all the listeners is get in touch with SEGI and speak to the MBA academics and the MBA program leader, and almost put your toe in the water of learning and ask the tutors, ask the program leader, what is it like to be an MBA? What are my job prospects? What are the type of tuition that I'm going to get? And I'll allude to this as I'm going through the session today. Next slide. The MBA product is a clear passport to career progression. There is no question about that. Now, what we have to be careful of, next slide, CY. There are many MBAs out there, and there are very, very many pricing strategies. And just because you're paying for the most expensive MBA be under no illusion that doesn't guarantee you a pass. So be very careful not going for the most expensive MBA as well as the cheapest MBA on the market. And there are many MBAs out there offering huge discounts. I would question that. You would need to look at the content and the curriculum. However, the MBA at SEGI through the university has a clear branding attribute. It has brand awareness. It is recognized within the commercial sector. Next slide. So be careful of which MBA you embark on. And one of the indicators here are league tables. So prospective students will go on the internet and they'll look at league tables. Be very careful on looking at almost like the premiership teams. There are many more questions that you need to ask before you make that decision. Next slide. So the key is trying to identify an MBA, such as the SEGI University of Sunderland MBA, that is competitively priced, which it is, but you get what you pay for. It is a value delivery of subject areas within that. Next slide. It needs to have one which has a USP, a unique selling point. Now, what we pride ourselves in at SEGI and the university are MBA students not only complete, but they enjoy the journey. Yes, they find it challenging, but they enjoy the journey. So what we've got to think about is embarking on a University of Sunderland, a SEGI MBA. The unique selling point is it is almost an individual bespoke delivery program matched around your needs. And within that, what I say is we have a tutor team in SEGI Malaysia, but also in close consultation with the University of Sunderland academic team to provide the best support, the best advice, the most up-to-date, cutting-edge subject knowledge, and an assessment strategy, which is challenging, but doesn't focus on exams. It is more focused on live assignments. Next slide, CY. And you also, a testament to the University of Sunderland MBA within SEGI, it gives you exposure. So when you graduate and you're applying for jobs, they see the MBA, that will help you get to the interview stage within that. And what it does do, and I want to emphasize that, it will get you to the interview stage, but it's you as an individual that will sell yourself in that job interview. So what we focus on the MBA is very much the knowledge, the skills, the interpersonal skills, how to work within a team, a group, different cultures, working with different age groups, different abilities, and it develops the confidence. And peppered within that, from day one on the MBA, we focus on getting you a career opportunity. So all the modules will be highly focused on employability. What skills are employers looking for? And we'll bring employers into the classroom, whether that's physical or virtual. We will Skype from the University of Sunderland or use Zoom or other social media platforms. So when our University of Sunderland students are studying or listening to guest speakers, that information will be transferred over to SEGI, so you're getting dual delivery within that. Next slide. It's also important, not just embarking on an MBA, but looking at an MBA such as the SEGI MBA, whereby there's a clear navigation. So you're not stressed. You have a clear step-by-step guide how you progress through the MBA. In addition to that, we also have an excellent support system, academic support and curriculum support and study skills to help manage your navigation through this MBA. Next slide. Also, what we do recognize within our curriculum at SEGI in the University of Sunderland, we have a curriculum that doesn't stand still. It is constantly evolving, keeping pace with the changing economic environment or global environment. So we've already seen the challenges of COVID-19, very much prevalent, hitting industry. So we will be bringing that to the forefront in our curriculums and identifying or providing key insights for students to understand what are the needs and challenges organizations are facing in the commercial sector. This will give you the insight, not just to pass your modules or your assessment, but it will give you the confidence when you go for a job interview. You don't speak like a student, you speak like an executive, a new executive wanting to join that organization. And this, once again, is the competitive advantage. And this isn't delivered just in one module, it's delivered across the board in a supportive, gauged, well-paced delivery process. Next slide. Yes, the academic team. You need to be very careful when choosing your MBA and do your homework. Try to identify the profiles of the academic team. Key questions: are they involved with industry? Are they supporting, helping businesses such as consultancy? And with their consultancy, are they converting this into journal papers? Now, at the University of Sunderland and SEGI, we have a very close relationship. We are as one. And what we do is we develop joint journal papers, which we have done in the past. We will share consultancy opportunities, career opportunities. So when you enroll at the SEGI Institute on the MBA, you'll get this exposure, not just the SEGI tutors, but the University of Sunderland tutors. So you're buying into a rich cultural exposure platform. Next slide. As I've said before, the MBA, one of the key benefits is that the knowledge that we share with students is up to date. Yes, we recommend textbooks, but a lot of the examples we will bring to the classroom are happening a day old, a week or a month or 6 months old. It is very current. It's no use talking about case studies that are 5 or 10 years old. However, there are exceptions which you can learn from past case studies, but predominantly the case studies that you will be exposed to, live scenarios, will be very much live in preparing you to pass your module and to embark on that future career. Next slide. What I thoroughly enjoy about teaching out in SEGI is coming into contact with students. And what you've got is you've got a rich diversity. Our recruitment strategy, both at the University of Sunderland and SEGI, we make sure that there's a rich blend of individuals from around the world, different ages, different experiences. But what we do is with our teaching delivery and our academic culture is develop a team dynamic, a one which is self-supportive through learning outside the classroom. Next slide. So it's not all about theory in SEGI. It's very much live case studies. And we will be keeping in touch. We'll be developing links through the University of Sunderland and SEGI to develop virtual internships or physical internships. And these will be fed into individual modules. So students will start to appreciate on the MBA that marketing isn't treated in isolation. Marketing is peppered or permeated through all the different disciplines. So when you graduate, you won't look at your subject areas or your modules in isolation. You will look at them as a rich tapestry of understanding the commercial and economic environment. And that is a unique selling point of our MBA program. Next slide. The good thing about an MBA, it introduces students to the key business disciplines. And that should open more career doors than more focused individual subject master's programs. So once again, our MBA in Malaysia Segi is very much driven about the end goal. That's not getting the certificate. It's not about graduation. It's about using your certificate, your learning experience, your rich network of fellow students to help find that career opportunity. And because the MBA, which we offer, goes into these subject areas individually, but then students identify the connectivity between those, you can then package or reframe your CV to specific jobs which are advertised. And SEGI support staff and the University of Sunderland support will help you prepare for job interviews. So yes, you will have to keep tweaking your resume, your CV, to match those specific jobs, but the MBA will give you the key understanding and the confidence to apply for those jobs. So the MBA is an investment. It's not a one-year investment, it's a lifetime investment. And what we will do, we'll expect you once you graduate, and you will graduate, to join our alumni so you too can share your experiences to incoming postgraduate students. Next slide. So if we do a snapshot of the benefits of doing an MBA, at the University of Sunderland MBA in Malaysia. One, student community. You will rub shoulders with students from past experience, from the business sector, from all different types of commercial environments. You will find our programs highly rewarding. You will see self-growth. And what I tell my MBA students to do is to take a photograph or a selfie day one of their MBA, and then take a photograph at the end of the MBA. You will see a physical change. That is nothing compared to the intrinsic self-reward that you will acquire as you progress through this rich learning program. So there'll be a distinct, tangible reward payback. You will also be exposed to various opportunities of employability, working on live assignments. You might be in touch with or be introduced to an organization that would like you to work with them for a number of hours per week to gain that experience. And one thing I recommend for students is whichever organization you use for your assignments, always put in the email or the letter, can you present your recommendations back to the organization? And in most cases, organizations say yes. And when you present the feedback to the organization, invariably, they will ask, when does your course finish? Because we may like you to start and work for us, either part-time or preferably full-time. The assessments are both formative and summative. Formative assessments will be classroom activities. They don't contribute to your end results, but what they will do, they'll give you an indication of your performance. So from day one, you'll start to identify what grade you're getting, provisional grade, what you need to improve that. And that isn't a lonely journey. You'll have your fellow students, you'll have your module tutor, you'll have your program leader, and you'll also have the infrastructure within the SEGI Institute and also the university to help you. So you're getting a lot of support for that fee for the MBA. It is a curriculum with progression. We like to bring in current activities. We like to keep the freshness with guest speakers, company visits, referring to tabloid initiatives or stories to develop the richness of the learning program. But most importantly, and I can put my hand on heart here, having worked for the university and still working for SEGI, it will be a memorable experience. You will find self-growth. You will hit the employment market with confidence. Next slide. But you might think a year is a long time. And I go back to my son, Cristiano, who's 8, and a year seems very long. Hopefully you'll agree with me, a year will go very quick indeed. And so what we need to do is We need to manage our time. Next slide. So these slides here, which I'm going to go through, are an actual example of when I taught the MBA students from SEGI. So what we do is, what's unique at SEGI, we have inputs, i.e. you as potential students. So you enroll on the MBA, next slide. You then go through what we call the transformation, a bit like a washing machine. That is the SEGI learning experience. And that's where you get the assignments. That's where you get feedback, formative and summative feedback. You'll have formal, informal discussions with your tutor team. You'll have the support systems within SEGI to help you write assignments, how to research, how to structure your assignments, and also when you get your assignments back, reading the academics comments, and then support on how to improve, how to increase. And don't forget, you're starting the MBA at this level here. If you started it at a higher level, why do the MBA? So it's a bit like fine. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Next slide. So if you look at the students on the inputs compared to the students on the outputs, same students, but they've gone through the SEGI MBA program. They have moved from a state of input, gone through the SEGI system, to the output. And that output, as you can see, are a group of executives with huge potential to contribute to organizations, not just in Malaysia, but around the world. Next slide. And we have a phrase at the University of Sunderland, and that phrase is embedded within the SEGI educational programs, and specifically the MBA. It is life-changing, but this is a two-way street. We can provide the academics, we can provide the commercial exposure, we can provide the developmental assignments, but you need to engage. And this is where the team dynamic plays very much an important part within the SEGI culture. We develop the team dynamic. So we learn as a team, but we have individual targets to improve our individual performances within that. And it's a learning process, and you'll get plenty of support throughout that journey. Next slide. So the academic team in SEGI. Yes, we will tell you how to successfully complete. Not quite like a drill instructor, but we will package the message to you as a student, what you need to do to enhance. And this will be packaged in a way that you want to swallow the pill to definitely improve your performance within that. Next slide. And I do know firsthand, the SEGI academic team is a team. They are very committed. Their number one objective is for you to enjoy your studies. Secondly, acquire the knowledge, then be able to apply that knowledge to live commercial organizations. And every time I come out to SEGI, several times a year, I never walk away with any questions. The only message I walk away with is SEGI tutors are totally committed to the student progression and employability. Next slide. We will support you, and we won't treat you like a baby, but we will give you the same amount of care and attention. Because doing a program, you're bound to think, well, I might fail. We're aware of those feelings, expectations, or misgivings. And that's why we have a package support system of academics and student support teams to make sure that there are support systems from day one, not just when you exit, but beyond that, when you become an alumni student, you become part of the SEGI and university family. Slide. And what we do is we encourage a team dynamic, meaning everyone is coming on the same level, rather than a group dynamic where you have the strongest at the top and the weakest at the bottom. We don't believe in that philosophy. What we do, we develop a team dynamic, but within those teams, there are expectations and responsibilities, and individuals need to feel accountable. But this will all come through in our induction program, which will introduce you to the learning and study skills within that. And we also encourage students, if they don't fully understand, to ask questions. So there's a slide there, a famous boxer, some of you may know, Muhammad Ali, possibly the world's greatest sportsman. What Muhammad Ali said, and he said many things, he said, before you can be a true leader, you have to believe that you are a leader. And that's very much the mantra that we carry through the MBA program. We look upon you as future leaders. And to do that, to fill your expectation, employees' expectations, and also our educational institutes' expectations, we embed those learning mechanisms where you start to realize with tangible evidence that you do have leadership quality. You do have the ability to deliver, to overcome problems, to motivate a workforce, to bring them alongside you and to achieve the corporate goals. And these will be tested and further tested in your modules, and you'll see the connectivity, as I've said before, across the program. We do not deliver the MBA in segments. It's very much a tapestry of learning. Next slide. Possibly the most important slide, yin and yang. I tell my students in SEGI, you've got to work hard and you've got to play hard. You've got to work hard to pass the modules, but also you've got to play hard, i.e. go to your parties, experiment with life to find out who you are, what makes you happy, what do you really want out of life. So the MBA program isn't just about academic reading and understanding. It's about exposure, lifting that veil to identify who you are and what do you want to get out of life and what kind of career would you like to get into. Once we identify that, we then feed in the support structures within that. Next slide, Siwai. And be realistic. You're not going to climb Everest on day one. It's not an assault course for special forces. The MBA in SEGI is incrementally delivered to develop your skills and your confidence. And yes, you may trip slightly, but we have the support systems to pick you up, to identify what you didn't do so well, or how can you improve your grades and your performance individually and as a team. Next slide. Don't think or say the fail word. It's not part of the equation of the MBA at SEGI and the University of Sunderland. I will guarantee you now, and you can come back to me on this, if you're accepted onto our MBA program and you enroll on the induction program, you network with your fellow students, you liaise with all your module tutors, you'll hold your hands up if you've not been able to do your homework on time, or if there are any issues in your life through the relationship that you'll develop with your supervisory team, your tutors. If you go to class and if you try hard, and I'm not talking about 110% or 100%, if you commit 70% on a consistent basis from day one of the MBA to your graduation, you will graduate. And we have years and years of experience within that. And this is where it's a two-way relationship. We provide the support. What we need is your commitment and determination. And the group dynamics or team dynamics we embed on our MBA program at SEGI make sure that if one of your colleagues, fellow students, is feeling a little bit down, they help support you as well as the academics to get through. Next slide. Doing an MBA, and what we pride ourselves at SEGI in the university, we tell our students it's a family affair. You need to include your family, your partners, your immediate family through that journey. So you need to talk through your learning experience. You've got to share your inhibitions, your anxieties, your motivations, your achievements, your successes, Include it as a family, because it is a commitment for them as well as you. Next slide. Very important. Manage your tutors. Tutors, the academic team, are just like you and I. They're human. And what we like to see when we're standing up there in the classroom, we're looking at faces, we're looking at body language, we're looking at work output, and we're making initial judgments. How committed are the students? Now, invariably, the induction program, and most probably the induction program, will help set the scene of what you need to do, not as an individual, as a team. And within that team, you've got the support. And there's nothing much more that we as academics enjoy is seeing students grow and develop and realize, seeing that penny drop in the MBA mind. I can do this. I am developing skills. You are developing skills to be future leaders through a very current, a very accessible, a very supportive MBA program. These are the many USPs that SEGI offer our students. Next slide. And what I also do, I also encourage our students, if you're unsure in class, I dare you, put your hand up and ask the tutor if they could repeat that or if they could give another example. And I'll guarantee you there'll be other students in the class thinking like that. So remember, you've bought the MBA ticket. Get your money's worth. Ask the tutor team. Ask the program team. Ask your fellow students. And if you're still unsure, go back again. It's your right. Seek help. Do not operate in silos. Businesses don't do this. They consult, they liaise, they negotiate, they identify collective solutions. Because if you get a collective solutions, there's a greater chance of buy-in. So seek help. Next slide. This slide is very personal to me because when I was doing my PhD and I met with my directors of studies, supervisory team, there was one occasion where I felt as though that I was getting behind with one of the chapters of research. And I remember my director of studies turning around and said, yes, we understand. But at the end of the day, Derek, you've got to crack on. And this is what you guys have to do. You're on the MBA program. It's not a sprint. It's a paced delivery program, but you need to progress. You need to produce, and you'll have the support of the academic team as well as fellow students. Next slide. This is an important slide because once you embark on our MBA in SEGI, you will be given a timetable. Next slide. So what you'll see is in green, these could be your classes. I've also identified Friday evening in red, Saturday evening in red. These are no study times. I personally believe if you have to study on a Friday evening or a Saturday evening, you may indeed have issues with your time management. That's when you should be out there partying, enjoying yourself. But if you look at the slide, there are pockets of white spaces. And what I encourage my students to do on Sunday evening, marked in yellow, is to scope out what are your objectives of the week. And then what you'll identify, what are your targets that you need to achieve on Monday. So you might see that you are free 11 till 12 on Monday morning. By doing a plan, you will know exactly what you're going to be doing so you can use these pockets of time. And I'm not talking about using 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm talking about 45-minute bite-sized intense study periods, either by yourself or with your core students. Next slide. Now, this is a truthful slide. Quite often, my students, both in SEGI and Sunderland, come up to me and say, I had a really good study night last night. I studied from 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. And then I point out, well, really, you drift into work and you drift out of work. Next slide. So what you're really doing, you're not being honest with yourself. Because when you start work, you'll check your mobile, you'll check your Facebook, you'll arrange your desk, get your coffees or your juices on the desk. So you kind of drift into work. And then you suddenly don't stop. You start drifting. You might go back on your Facebook or social media, or you might say what's on the TV or the radio. So you drift out. So out of those 3 hours of work, in truth, you've probably done at best 1.5 hours. That's why when you go back to the timetable, if you plan your schedule on the Sunday evening, a bit like your business, you plan what you're going to do on the Monday, you'll have pocket-sized, bite-sized, 45 minutes. You know exactly what you're going to do. Could be read a journal or prep up for a presentation, and you'll find that is intense within that. However, you will need to do some study on an evening, but it's not 3-hour stints. I would say that if you use your time wisely during the day, you will be able to definitely have a good social life on an evening and a weekend. But don't forget, yin and yang, like the scales, work hard and play hard within that. And what I try to do is I try to get students to keep a log, a bit like a business. When you started work, when you finished work, and then at the end of the week, keep a log. How many hours? Now, this will be a guesstimate. How many hours have you studied on your SEGI MBA to the hours that you've played? And we need to get that kind of right within that. Too much play, you're not going to pass your MBA. Too much MBA, you're not going to find out who you are. And you won't develop that rich personality of confidence for the job market. Next slide. So yes, group work. The MBA in SEGI is not an individual MBA. It is a group or a team dynamic. You must work as a team within that. And we'll set the parameters and we'll educate you from day one in the induction, and your module leaders will support you throughout each of the modules to make sure that we've got a team dynamic. But make sure co-workers work as a team. Next slide. Yes. We all feel lazy sometimes or tired. We call this procrastination. So what I tell my students in SEGI, if you're trying to study, say Monday evening, and you just haven't got the right mindset, stop what you're doing. Go to the gym, go to watch a movie and recalibrate, restructure. If you're going to go out tonight, then tomorrow night you might do an hour, hour and a half. Also, what I do recommend to students, if you don't want to go out, an easy way of studying and to get great examples for your assignments. Go on TED Talks, go on YouTube, type in conflict, type in motivational strategies or effective strategies of businesses in 2020 and see what videos come up. And I'll guarantee you, you'll sit there and 1 or 2 points will register with you. And this can be then embedded in your assignments on the class discussions. Next slide. The key also is looking at the university's library. SEGI has a phenomenal library, and you also have access to the University of Sunderland journal papers. And I'm emphasizing journal papers, not textbooks. Yes, each module you'll be recommended a textbook, but we will encourage you to read journals. These are up-to-date discussions, research over the past 12 months. So it keeps the currency of learning very much at the forefront. Next slide. And a lesson learned the hard way from myself. With your assignments and your work, always keep duplicate backups. So yes, you save it on a USB and save it in the cloud. And also, if everything else fails, print it off. So you've got a hard copy. Always back your work up. But your tutors will pass on further study techniques once you enroll on the MBA. Next slide. Yes, network. As a student, you'll be exposed to businesses, business opportunities, other students with potential networks. So treat yourself like a business. Get yourself a business card. Say that you're doing the MBA at SEGI with your contact details. You never know who you're going to come into, and you can hand that card up over, and that could help open the door for an assignment to get research, or hopefully a relationship that could lead into a future career. And it happens each year. Next slide. Throughout your MBA, look at your resume, look for impacts, use your live assignments, company guest speakers, company visits, potential short-term placements around your MBA studies. Use that to package and strengthen your CV. So when you exit, you've got your MBA from SEGI, University of Sunderland, but you've also got a very impactful CV. Next slide. Employability. As we go through your MBA, there'll be opportunities for you to practice your interview skills. These will be recorded, which you can take home or watch on your iPhone or phone or laptop, but it will be heavily immersed in employability, because you're investing in your MBA at SEGI. We need to invest in you to make sure you get that career break at the end. Next slide. Yes, 12 months, lots of emotions, happy, exhilaration, achievement, but also times of potential controlled stress. So once again, we have the support system. That is one of the key attributes the university has, and with SEGI. We know the roller coaster emotions that students go through. And we support this in the classroom and outside the classroom on an evening and weekends. And as a former program leader, yes, I would make myself available to students to give me a call on an evening or a weekend if they were unsure about an assignment, or there was a life issue that they wanted someone to give them neutral advice. So you're buying into a great deal of support at the SEGI MBA. Next slide. And there's a slide there taken from some of the examples whereby we have live assignments with students and they achieve. And some of these students were actually students. This is the benefit of doing the MBA, SEGI MBA. You can hook up with MBA students at the University of Sunderland. There might even be employability opportunities. So you can apply for jobs in the UK and we can help you bridge that gap for employability, not just in Malaysia, but in the UK and further afield. Next slide. If you listen to what I've said, and when you enroll and you listen to the induction, the commitment of your program leader, the professionalism of the SEGI team, I'll go back to what I promised you. You will graduate. And you will walk across that stage, you'll collect your MBA certificate, and you'll look back on the year. Yes, it went quickly, but you will feel the growth. You will be a different person to what you started to what you ended with. And on that note, I'll say thank you. And shortly, we'll be opening up for some questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Derek, for the very insightful sharing. Can you hear me, Derek?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So it was a very, very insightful sharing, especially the part on time management, because what I've realized after speaking to a lot of prospective MBA students is they are always worried about how they're going to juggle between, work and study. And I think what you have presented is a very practical approach. If you manage your time well, you still have time to play.
Yeah.
And in fact, looking back to the time when I did my MBA, a lot of people are wondering, how can you be studying and working at the same time? And I told them, if you manage your time properly, you can actually have more play than when you are not studying. Because the moment you start planning for your time, you become very conscious of how you use your time. And in fact, if you plan your time well, you realize that when you are going through your MBA program, you become more productive. And actually, you get more fun out of it.
Yes, certainly. And once again, it's a technique on getting through an MBA. Yes, you need a certain amount of ability, but it's more on technique. And our tutor teams will support the students in managing their time and how to get the best out of their course and the various sports and societies at SEGI. And the unlimited opportunities, which I see every time I come out to SEGI Malaysia, always directed at students, and the employability ticket. That's very important for them to remember. From day one to graduation, we will be focusing on how you get that job. So with regards to investment on the MBA, students should reap the rewards significantly to see total value in that.
Exactly. So at this point of time, I'd like to go into the Q&A session. We have some very, very interesting questions that I want to bring up. The first question that I want to bring up is a question from Karen. And she asked, what are some of the graduate attributes that the UOS MBA program is trying to groom in its students? Derek.
Yeah, there are many, but to kind of encapsulate it, what we try to do, we try to develop fairness, consistency, honesty, but more so the key driver that I push for, and my SEGI co-workers, fellow academics go for, is for students to start to understand who they are. Until you understand who you are, you won't be able to fully appreciate the knowledge and the content. That's why we pride ourselves in having a very effective induction program and the support systems. You're not going to learn it straight away. And it's going to be a repeat process throughout, polishing up your confidence, your ability. And it's about taking the knowledge from the classroom into the workplace. And for you to be empowered, to feel that confidence that you do have the knowledge, you do have the key skills to bring about tangible change. So the organization realizes there's something different about SEGI MBA students. They can contribute and they can deliver. And we've got a vast years of experience of this. It isn't just, we haven't just developed it. This has been nurtured over year after year.
Thank you very much. The second question is a question from Stephen Ng. And this may be a very difficult question. But Derek, what makes UOS MBA different as compared to others?
Well, I've worked at many universities. And once again, I'll put my hand on my heart. I am very, very passionate about the University of Sunderland. It's a family. And I know, having taken over the role of Centre Leader for Malaysia, SEGI University and colleges is a family. And the university was identified this paternalistic, this caring infrastructure within SEGI. That's why I wanted to embed our educational programs with SEGI. It wasn't a short-term relationship. It was a long-term relationship. And what I would say is different is the commitment of our academic teams in not just subject knowledge exchange, but we really want you to find out who you are, what makes you tick, what are your real goals in life, and also develop individual bespoke initiatives for you to excel. And that is quite unique.
Thank you for sharing. The next question is it's a very interesting question, and actually it is something that I see in the Malaysian society, where there are a lot of people who wish to pursue an MBA program, but they have no business qualification. It's a question actually from Tan Rachel. Her question is, I have no business qualification. Would it be difficult for me to do the MBA? Because a lot of our MBA students, they are engineers, some of them are pilots. I mean, they are from different backgrounds. So what would be your response to this, Dr. Derek?
That is a very good question. And it's one which I'm faced with during recruitment every year. Quite often students underplay their ability. And what we talk about is tacit knowledge, experience that they have that they may not appreciate. So you may have had a part-time job. You may have, excuse me, you may have a network of friends who work. You may have experience of listening to what different businesses have said. Putting that all to one side though, when you enroll on the SEGI MBA, we assume that you have a very limited experience of business. But within the week, you'll realize that isn't the case, because we will tease out of you your past experience, what you've done before. Individuals in the classroom will share their experiences. And this is where the team learning dynamic comes in within SEGI. Quite a lot of the fundamentals are delivered in the classroom, but the real learning quite often takes place outside, where you're networking with fellow students. And once again, there are additional support systems if you feel as though that you need additional support. And this is all part of the service. So employability, how to approach organizations, how to write assignments, how to interview people within that. So it's very much, it might seem a lot of issues, but it is paced in a digestible form process so that you develop the key skills. And if you can remember one of the slides I put up, the input, the SEGI Malaysian students, day one of the course, to how they turned out at the end of the course. They had different levels of experience, but they worked together. They didn't carry each other. They worked together as a team. So yes, we are mindful of students' apprehensions, but we have a very thorough interview process. And that's a two-way process where we find out about you and you also find out about us. And you'll quickly identify that SEGI isn't in the business of the numbers games. We want the cohort to be the right size to get the right dynamics. And that's one criteria that we abide by, both SEGI and the university. We have a great dynamic, great learning culture.
Thank you. And the final question is from CQ Lee. And his question is there any difference in the final award if I complete my MBA in Malaysia? I think he's asking about the certificate that the student is going to receive at the end of their MBA program.
You will graduate with the University of Sunderland MBA parchment within that. So when you go for a job, a future career, hopefully by enrolling on the MBA, you will all have jobs to go to before you actually graduate, because you've got your CVs out there, they've interviewed you, they've seen the key skills. But yes, you will have a University of Sunderland, England MBA, and that is an attribute in today's highly competitive market.
Thank you, Dr. Derek. I think that is all the questions that we have tonight.
Could I just say one thing to the audience?
Certainly.
Guys, if you are thinking about doing an MBA, my advice to you is do not put off tomorrow or next week or next year. Enroll on the MBA now and you will reap the rewards within that. It will make you competitive. It will give you self-belief and self-growth. So my advice is enroll at SEGI.
Take the leap of faith.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. When I look back to my MBA, and as I was reflecting, as I was preparing for the webinar tonight, one of the reflections that I have was to think back and to think about what was the most difficult part about my MBA program. And of course, for me personally, it is the final assessment part. But I'm very proud to say that I've managed to go through. But the second most difficult thing that I think about enrolling in an MBA is gathering enough courage to start inquiring about the MBA program. Actually, the hardest part of doing the MBA program is to gather enough courage to ask. Yeah. And to begin on that journey of inquiry to find out find out which MBA program suits me the best. So for those of you who are watching out there who are still contemplating whether or not should I begin my MBA, take that first step, take that leap of faith, ask. And I'm very sure all of our course consultants will be more than happy to answer all of your questions and to help you with all of your concerns.
Yeah, make that call now.
Exactly. So the number is below. If you're interested in the MBA program, WhatsApp MBA to 01621291154, 01621291154, and we'll see you on the other side. So thank you once again, Dr. Derek, for joining us all the way from the United Kingdom.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. So at this point, for those of you who are still watching out there, we've come to the end of the webinar. And in Segi Group of Colleges, we organize a lot of webinars just like this. And if you're a working professional and that is looking for more free upcoming webinars, I would like to encourage you to scan the QR code that is on the side here. And it will bring you to a Telegram group where we will be broadcasting and updating all of our upcoming webinars. So that is where you will find more free webinars and updates. And thank you once again for tuning in. So if you're watching and if you have stayed with us until the end, thank you very much for joining. And I would like to invite you to join us in thanking Dr. Derek for joining us. So type in the comments below your message of appreciation. And until the next SGC webinar, see you. Good night.
The main reason for choosing the University of Sunderland MBA is career enhancement. You will gain key knowledge and insights to support progress in management and career moves within functions and to other sectors.
People look at you and they know that you've studied how to be a manager. You can use all the key words and context, and you can reference different case studies in businesses where different ideas have worked.
So where does innovation come from? It's all about spaces to be creative and innovative.
Our new MBA offers a broad base of business subjects, including modules specifically designed to develop your ability to work cross-functionally, understanding the collaborative nature of organizational decision-making. You can customize your MBA program to meet your employment aspirations with function or sector specialized MBA routes, including our latest edition, MBA Cybersecurity.
So one of the benefits of having my own startup website business is that I started around 6 years ago, and having started the course last year in October, I've seen already a lot of improvements which I've been able to add on due to the lessons and the practical experience that I've had. And looking back on my employment now, there's so much more I could have done with those skills that I can implement going forward.
Students on the generic MBA choose from a variety of options to support core learning, including the opportunity to engage in research or consultancy projects with local businesses. Alongside our career-based options, we offer an enterprise and innovation route, giving you the support you need to start your own business.
The taught experience is a combination of classroom-based learning and experiential learning.
I attended also Nissan session. It was about the employability, how they run the interviews, and it was very useful for me.
It's these extracurricular opportunities, the experiences that they have to successfully engage with these experiences will demonstrate qualities that you possess that are valuable to employers.
That leadership is built on two key aspects: the state of mind and the development of a set of core knowledge which requires them to integrate theory and practice.
It involves being able to think critically and lead with informed decisions in a very dynamic and competitive environment.
When we meet, I listen to your heartbeat. I can hear the rhythm and the tones. Every time I listen to my heart, it's like a cartwheel in my head, but my legs are made of lead. The one who's singing out of tune, but I still want to sing with you. When we speak, I find it hard to think straight, especially when there's no one else around. When we touch, it's impossible to concentrate. Bright light everywhere, like I'm floating in the air. Your heartbeat song is good, but it's not the one who's singing out of tune. But I still want to sing with you. Your heartbeat song is good, but it's not the one who's singing out of tune. But I still want to sing with you. But I still want to sing with you.
Hello, I'm Jordan North. I graduated from the University of Sunderland and I am now currently a BBC Radio 1 DJ. My time at Sunderland, I learned a lot, and I do always say I owe everybody at Sunderland a lot.
When we meet, I listen to your heartbeat. I can hear the rhythm and the tone. Every time I listen to my heart, it's like a cartwheel in my head, but my legs are made of lead. When we speak, I find it hard to think straight, especially when there's no one else around. When we touch, it's impossible to concentrate. Bright lights everywhere, like I'm floating in the air. Your heartbeat song is good, but it's not the one. Singing out of tune, but I still want to sing with you. Still want to sing with you. Still want to sing with you. I still want to sing with you.
I've loved every minute of it.